Hello there, welcome to another week of videos. This week I'm going to be a bit different. I've only got one Japanese based film in the week. There's actually a series of films. And I've got two top 10s. One of them on request, you know, and I have one in Spielberg. So it's going to be a varied week. I'm going to start with one of the top 10s, I'm going to end with one of the top 10s. The first one is a request from Solitary Ronin. When I did one of my top 10s before, that was an absurd top 10, he suggested films that shouldn't work but do, which I thought was a good idea. So I said, yeah, I'll do that. I mean, he should have kept that one for himself and did it himself, if I'm honest. But since he suggested it to me to do, I'm doing it. But now I have a challenge. He has to do one as well in this subject, since I've just done it. So it's his turn next to do it. I'm going to start with number 10, which is Miracle Mile. Miracle Mile is a film made in the late 80s. It was barely released. It was one of those films I never saw for years. And then when I saw it, I realised I actually had seen it. But it was one of those ones that was released very vaguely. It must have come out in video, must have seen it in video and forgotten I'd seen it. But it was barely released then, barely seen for basically decades, which is one of those cult films that a few people had seen. It was on TV every so often in various places, but it wasn't a well-known film. It stars Anthony Edwards, and he's this guy who meets this girl in the late 80s, very 80s fashion, arranges a date, sleeps in, misses the date. When he goes to the place where the date is meant to be, there's a phone starts ringing, so he picks up the phone, thinking it's maybe her. It turns out it's someone who's at a nuclear base who says the bombs have just gone off, so you've only got a few hours left before nuclear wasteland. So he has to decide what's he going to do with the information. Is it a hoax? Is someone playing a trick on him? He goes into a cafe and says this is what's happened. I've done a whole video on this one. The reason why it shouldn't work is it's a romantic meet cute film mixed with nuclear holocaust. He has to go and find a girl, find out where she lives, go to a place, help her, find her and try and get her out of LA before the bomb goes off. And he watches the whole civilization collapse around about him. So you've got the chaos on one side and survival instincts mixed with this romance, which really should not work. This is like two different tones that are incompatible. But it really pulls it off. It's beautiful because it understands that it's a tragedy. Like, no one's going to survive this. No matter what they do, they're not going to survive this if it's going to actually happen. So the first big thing is it going to happen? And then the second thing is what's going to happen to the characters. And at a certain point you realise they're not going to make it. And that is what makes romance even stronger. Where they just get to spend the last moments alive with each other. It's a wonderful film, very beautiful, but it shouldn't work at all. It should not work, but it just does. It's just perfectly working film. So that's number 10. Number 9 is Us. I'm not sure if I've spoken about Us yet. It's Jordan Peele's second film. His first film was Get Out, which was a good film, but I like Us better. Us is got a metaphor for America and the first world that's basically way overstated. It should not work, it should be really too obvious, but it's not, because it works it out in sci-fi horror terms. It's a metaphor and he understands just how to play it so that you get it in pieces that you fit it together, and you're basically he's allowing for the fact that he's giving you a big metaphor, but then he lets you digest it in the proper way. So the idea basically is there's the overworld where we all live, then there's underworld where doubles of us live, the people who didn't get the right break, didn't get the good homes, the good life. They had to work hard and starve to death, basically starving to death, and they were doubles, and the whole metaphor is they were doubles because they are doubles, even though the metaphor is they're your doubles because they're people just like you, but they've had less advantages in life. And he doesn't let anyone off the hook because the family involved, the rich family, the black family who have done well in life, and they have to deal with their doubles. The white family, who are even richer, have to deal with their doubles. And it's about the nihilism of people who have no place in life anymore, and how violent they can get if they feel that there's no stake for them. And you've also got the fighting back the people who want to live and don't want to get taken over by the doubles, basically, the people who have been oppressed for years or decades or centuries. So it's a nice metaphor, but it makes it more complicated. Like, it's not a race-based thing, it's about class. The race plays a part, but it's mainly about class, but it's who gets the better shake of things. And it's really good. But it's such an obvious metaphor, it should not work. But because Jordan actually keeps it in, Jordan Peele keeps it in, the idea of the metaphor of a Twilight Zone episode or like a sci-fi fantasy horror, so you get the atmosphere of a horror movie, and you've got the weird logic of a sci-fi movie. We know things have been taken a little bit differently from everyday logic, but it's a what if scenario, and he just pulls it off. It's just really good. But because it is so obvious, it will alienate some people. But for me, it really works. It really is a very nice film. I like this one a lot more than Get Out, actually. I think it's a bit more ambitious in its idea, and it's about all of us, really. It's about everyone's experience. You know, these characters have to be black, but it's something everyone can understand. So it's a really wonderful film. So that's a film that shouldn't work because it's metaphors, but it does work. Number 8 is Dave Chappelle's Block Party. It's a film that Michel Gondry made with Dave Chappelle, and it's a really weird idea. This was just after, I'm pretty sure it's just after Chappelle left the Chappelle Show and just really disappear, and he creates this thing called a block party, which is he's going to bring all these bands together in this one area in New York, and they're going to have a party and it's free for all the residents. They're going to build it up and have a block party, but the way we'd have a block party before, but they're going to actually have big bands. They're just going to try and embrace the community and make people meet each other and see each other as humans rather than as neighbours, rather than just being people that stay in the same place. And it's wonderful. You see Chappelle talking to different people, different backgrounds, and talking about why he's doing it and how he embraces the idea that he's bringing together people who have different talents. And he's always taking the mickey of himself, saying, I have no talent, these people have talent. It's a very good-natured film. It's one of the things about the whole film is it's so well good-natured. It's so much about creating this experience that people can enjoy and can remember, and it will help them through the bad times, really. It's about creating a community rather than just being all for yourself. And it's just a wonderfully good-hearted film, and it shouldn't work because there's no structure to it. There's no... It's a documentary, but it's been created as it goes, so it's not exactly a objective documentary. It is a kind of taken filmmaking, but it's not fiction, not documentary, it's something else. And it just goes by being its own rambling little thing that it's paced really well, but it's not trying to be perfect film. It's trying to be shaggy, it's trying to be a bit odd. It's just wonderful. So that's my number 8. Okay, my number 7 is Yakuza Apocalypse. Yakuza Apocalypse is a Takashi Miike film. Obviously I put one of these in here, but I don't want to do the obvious ones. So Yakuza Apocalypse is one of his more extreme films, and some people might think this doesn't work, but I think it's perfect. I adore Yakuza Apocalypse. It is completely self-indulgent, it is completely insane. It starts out as a Yakuza film, and it ends up with normal gang wars, and then supernatural things start to come in, and then this creature comes in who's dressed in as like a toy, a giant toy from a soft toy commercial. That's the big villain in the film that has to be defeated. And there's vampires, and there's everything, and it's just weird. Nothing makes sense in it, but it's all perfect because it's just every kind of weird thing he can throw on the screen, he throws on the screen, and he makes it work. It's just so wonderful. It's just so wacky. It's almost like he's he got a challenge from himself. You know, how many absurd things can I throw in a film and actually still make it work? But I'm trying to explain too much. It's so weird. It's one of those films I would have probably made a proper video on because it's so strange. And it is a film that a lot of people won't think works at all. But it does. It's just like a perfect Mickey film for just how weird it is, how self-indulgent it is, how much he did it for himself and you all invited. It's great. Yakuza Apocalypse is great, but it should not work because it does not give a damn about any kind of reality or any kind of even logic within the film itself is thrown out repeatedly. It's like the thing about a lot of films is they can be absurd as they want as long as they're consistent within their own rules. In this film, Mickey is always trying to push those rules back and back and back. Like, yeah, we said this, but we're switching to this, and he's obviously punching out the rule. You have to be internally consistent, and he still makes it work. So this is just wonderful. Okay, number 6, we have Tree of Life by Terrence Malick. This is a film I'm going to do a video on pretty soon. I need to watch the extended cut still. This is a film about growing up in Texas, so it's a plotless movie. Really, it's about the experience of growing up and the influence you have for either your mother or your father, and how they both can influence the children as they grow up in different ways, and how much they take from your mother, how much they take from your father, and how close the family bonds are actually, what they're doing to you to make you better. It's something that is there to make you better, actually make you worse. It's something that you think is going to make you worse, actually make you better, or is it actually doing damage to you? So they've got a father played by Brad Pitt who is disappointed in his own life and he takes it out of his family. There's a mother who tries to help the kids a lot more. She's kinder, but they take advantage because they're kids. They take advantage of her kindness. In the midst of all of this, which is a very normal film, Malick also gives you existentialism and the creation of the universe in a 20-minute section. There's kind of a ghostly feeling to some of it. It's really Sean Penn moments where you're in his head a lot of the time, and he's the older version of one of the lead characters. And it's just, it should not work with this. This whole framework should just blow it apart, because Malick took that framework and made a whole film about the voyage of time. These two things should not work, but they work perfectly together because it creates this sense of what's your experience in life and the experience of your family compared to the universe. And rather than diminishing it as it's nothing, it's actually a beautiful film about how important it is in some way, but it might not be in a way you can understand entirely. So it becomes a very spiritual film unexpectedly because there's been so much about the pain caused by humanity to each other, and then within this there are all these really great notes about what lies beyond and what's the greater meaning in life, or any life. And the film is called A Tree of Life. This is the foundation of life in the universe, foundation of life as a person. It all just flows together beautifully. It's just a wonderful film, but it should not work at all. Okay, so now at number 5 we have Paul Verhoeven's Starship Troopers, which is a film that's a parody of itself. This is Verhoeven started off doing in Hollywood. He did a European film, then he came to Hollywood. He did Flesh and Blood, which was a parody of religious epics that was very cynical about them. That didn't work for the main audience. Then he made RoboCop, which worked for most people, which is because it took it seriously, but also does that whole satire. As his career went on with Total Recall and Basic Instinct, he was a bit more satirical every time about the way he plays the characters, the American audience is like within the narrative, and how absurd it could be and how weird it could be. And then Showgirls, he made a film about the American dream and showed how hollow and corrupt it was. Then we go to Starship Troopers, it was all about fascism. And instead of that, he took the whole, him and Ed Neumeyer, who wrote RoboCop, took the idea with the World War II movie about the plucky young kid who doesn't know what he wants. A war comes, he has to go and fight, he has to learn to become a man. They take that and totally rip it apart. It's based on a Robert Heinlein novel, which is totally jettisoned. and they make a film about fascism. The film idea about what fascism actually is, and how fascism isn't like how it's obvious, but it becomes part of daily life to the people. So these people who you're following are fascists. You're on the, if this was any other movie, they'd be the bad guys. But you take it from their point of view and show you how their society was created, how the society brought them in, and how they become like basically zombies, just like these creatures of no thought who go and fight these wars that are worked out by the government and all the population's basically cannon fodder. It's just a totally cynical view about the right-wing governments and how they see the people and how they see people as disposable and how only the top level really count, and how instead of force people to do it, they actually create a system of government oppression that everyone signed up for, that everyone believes in, how ideology can be corrupted to create this sense of a state that's corrupt and horrible. And it's like, and Verhoeven does that in an entertainment film about soldiers fighting bugs. That should not work. Something so political mixed with action genre should not work, but it does. It's perfect because you're watching a film, you're thinking, this is creepy. This is really creepy. It's an action movie that's really creepy. It's just wonderful. I mean, Starship Troopers is one of my favourite films. It really should not work. Well, most directors, this would not work. Okay, now we've got Heart of Glass number 4. Now, Heart of Glass is a great Werner Herzog film. That is where the actors were hypnotised to give a certain kind of performance that is just a bit spaced out and weird. Herzog would do lots of strange things in the 70s. He's a wonderful director. I kind of want to do more on this subject, so I'm just going to cover it very briefly here, then I'll probably cover it in a later video. Herzog wanted to create a dreamlike state of these people who are fearing the end of the world, but do that he hypnotised them and create this weird atmosphere in the film. It's just a beautiful film, but hypnotising your actors to create a weird sense of performance is a strange thing to do. And it shouldn't work, but it does work. It works perfectly for the tone of this film. He understands the tone perfectly. And that's what makes it work. It's just a beautiful film. But it should not work. Herzog does a lot of things that should not work. He hired Bruno for a couple of his films, who's this young man who had difficulties in life. And he was wonderful in those films. He hired Klaus Kinski a lot. And Kinski was a madman. I mean, Herzog did a lot of films that should not work. But this is him pushing it even more than normal. So Heart of Glass it's just amazing. Okay, up next, number 3 is Mandy. The Cosmatos film from a few years ago starring Nicolas Cage. Now the reason why this shouldn't work is this is a low budget, weird film that is a revenge film, but you don't get revenge till halfway through the film. Everything is colour coded, it blows out all these colours and it's really weird. It's like an acid trip of a film. In the first half of the film, before it turns into a revenge movie, is about this couple who are living in this alternative 80s, this world that kind of makes sense but is weird and strange, and it's kind of like a dream. It's this couple who get on really well, and Nicolas Cage is one of them and he's very normal, and then this gang comes. The leader of the gang saw the woman as she was walking home, fell in love with her, decides he has to have her, and he decides he has to destroy their happiness. So that's the first half of the movie. The second half of the movie is Nicolas Cage getting his revenge on and going out and killing them in this weird psychedelic feeling movie. This should not work, and it's wonderful. It should not work because, one, the script is so basic to two halves of a movie, pre-revenge, then the revenge. And it's all about the mood of that rather than trying to create like really complicated characters. It's not that they're showing the mood. You deliver who they are through the mood of the film more than anything. The performances are very odd. They're not working the conventional way, at least for me. The lead character in some ways is the villain. He's the guy who drives it all, and he's kind of probably the most interesting character in the film. And it's just strange. It's a strange film, and when Nicolas Cage finally gets together to get revenge, he's not that good at it, but it is wonderful to watch him do it, and it's just a weird film, and it really should work, but it really does work because the director knew what he wanted to do, and he made the film he wanted to make. He made the film exactly in his head. That's the only way to make this kind of film. So that's why it's number 3. Number 2 is Crash. Cronenberg's Crash. I've done a video on Cronenberg's Crash. It should work for multiple reasons, mainly because it's about people who get excitement from car crashes, and it's about the evolution of sexuality through technology. It's all about stuff people are uncomfortable with to start with, and then it keeps pushing and pushing and pushing it, and it has all the actors on the plane, and it's keeping everything dry. The car crashes are shot very matter of fact, so you have to really put the effort in to make it work for you. You have to really work at it. You can't just expect it to come to you. You have to actually put the effort in to make this experience. So there's lots of reasons why it should not work, but it works beautifully because it is what it is. It's like, this is what I'm interested in, and either with it or not, and that's what the film is basically saying. And it's wonderful. It's just beautiful. Beautiful film, but very disturbing, and it will throw people off, but it is exactly what it wants to be, and it sacrifices any kind of obvious human interaction for the subtleties and detailing this weird mania that's overtaking these people and seeing the development of it. It's about the subject matter rather than trying to make you comfortable, and that's why it works. And it's wonderful. Now you might think, how can you go any further than Crash for number 1? But I do have a film that's actually should have worked even less than Crash, and that is Oh Hazard Balthazar from Robert Bresson. It's a donkey movie. A movie about a donkey. It's not animated, it's about a donkey who's brutalised by life throughout the film. Some people think he's a Christ figure, some people think he's a donkey, but it's about the human nature, and his story's intercut with a story of a girl who adored him when she was young, and how her life is falling to bits as well, and how she has bad taste in men, how evil exists in the world in simple, small ways that create hell for everybody. It should not work because it's about a donkey specifically. And if a donkey is inexpressive who goes through life and is treated badly, and making a film with a character so inexpressive at the centre, especially when Bresson does it with all these other actors who don't express much, it should be a disaster. But instead it's perfect. It's a beautiful film. The end's wonderfully moving. And it is about the life of a donkey, and you see humanity around about him. It's just wonderful. And it's a perfect, this should not work. But it works because Bresson knows what he's doing. Bresson knows what's important. Where the humans are important, and where they're evil and malicious, and where they're just the background. And it's just great. So Balthazar's my number 1 film that should not work to do. So I hope you enjoyed the list. Thanks to Ronin for suggesting it. I'll be back for another video soon. See you then.